We have 6 cards for our reading today, and what I'm going to do is just go through the energies of the cards themselves first, and then I'll touch on the astrology transits that I believe they're referencing. The opening card that we have for today is the Five of Wands. So we might be running into some hassles today, our willfulness might be called to task in regard to how it engages. We see these 5 people in this card, they all have a wand, and they could be seemingly fighting each other in this ultimate battle, or they could be in some kind of training. And so because it's a number 5 showing up in our element of our will, it's giving us an option, and it's up to us to remember that we do have a choice in how we engage and respond to a situation that may be bringing some kind of challenge or friction into our lives. Now, the challenge that's actually showing up today is the 8 of Swords. We see this person who's surrounded by 8 swords that are placed in the sand around their feet. And it looks as if they're being imprisoned by them, right? Like there's like this cage of swords around them. But they're also tied up. There's this rope or cloth entangled around them, and then they're also blindfolded. So we have this person who feels really bound to their situation. And this is showing up as a challenge today, almost in a way of reminding us that no matter how much effort we expend where we are in dealing with our situation, it's not going to do very much. And so it's a question of understanding that this too shall pass, and this is just a temporary experience that we're in, and can we have that understanding in the mind and allow this time to kind of play out. Now, the way we're going to get through the challenge came in as the Five of Pentacles, so 2 5s showing up today. And the Five of Pentacles, we see a bit of sorrow in this card, right? These 2 people are in the foreground. The guy is on crutches, and the woman has this kind of veil or sheath or some kind of, garment that is draped over her head. And they look kind of sad, but in the background, there's this stained glass window with these 5 pentacles that's elaborately created with intention. And so again, it's this choice of how do we look at the situation that we're in. Maybe you're experiencing some kind of financial loss right now, or emotional loss, or something that makes you feel like you're out in the cold, right? Just like these people who are in this card. And it's interesting as a card to show up in regard to how we're going to get through the challenge, right? Because it seems a little bit desolate. But really what it's calling us to look at is our value system and our expectations, and how sometimes they create this unnecessary suffering for us. And it's in a lot of ways telling us that we're choosing to kind of be out in the cold based on our own value system. So perhaps we need to reevaluate that. And that's why we're sitting in the circumstances that we're in. Now, the ultimate outcome today came in as another pentacle, and it came in with a couple of clarifying cards. We have the High Priestess, which is the first major arcana that showed up today, and the Queen of Wands. So these 3 cards together are interesting to me. We have the ultimate outcome as someone who is budgeting their resources or taking some kind of inventory around their resources and their budget, right? Because they have money on their mind, they're clinging it to their chest, and they have their feet anchoring 2 coins to the ground. And we also see this brick structure that is seemingly kind of keeping them away from the world. So there is a little touch of an air of isolation in this card as well. So we see someone who's sitting with it, right? Sitting with their values, sitting with what they actually really need to thrive and, survive in this earth living experience. And it's calling us to bring some kind of stability into our lives. Now, the clarifying cards that came in, and these both came out together. So whenever I pull the tarot, I lay out all the 78 cards, and then I gently drag my hand across and see which card comes out for me. And in the clarifying cards that I pulled, these two came out together, which is why I'm going to read them together today. And I think it's actually interesting that they came out together, and here's why. So we see this energy that we've already been kind of getting a taste of in this reading, which is this flavor of struggle and feeling like you're limited in your situation, and feeling a sense of disappointment around something, and this reevaluation process. And then we have these clarifying cards of the High Priestess, which is this intuitive energy, which is speaking to the energy of the moon. And we are going through a new moon phase right now. Okay. But she's sitting in between these two pillars, right? A black pillar and a white pillar. And she has this scroll inside of her cloak, which is the Torah, or the secrets of the universe. And she has two crescent moons on either side of her crown, which is connoting the symbol of the moon and the phases of the moon. And we are in a new moon right now, which I think is quite poignant, in the sign of Libra, because the sun is also in the sign of Libra. And we have the Queen of Wands showing up as another clarifying card, which is signifying the zodiac sign of Aries. And right now we have Jupiter moving retrograde in Aries. And just by astrological layout, Aries and Libra are in opposition. So we have kind of this, stretching happening with our awareness. And when we consider that, Libra is the other, right? It's our ability to exchange and be in exchange with other people in relationship. And that we have the moon, sitting over there, or the sun and the moon both sitting over there. There's this kind of calling to us in regard to how we exchange, and also this energetic of allowing things to reveal themselves. Now, the Queen of Wands is governed by Aries, right, which is ruled by the sign of Mars. Mars is up in Gemini right now, and it's getting ready to move retrograde. And so in a lot of ways, we have our energies kind of being in this space of review, in the realm of the astrological transits that are happening right now. And what happens when any planet goes into retrograde is, first, it's passing through the sky, and then another planet moves in front of it. So it looks like it's slowing down or moving backwards, right? But as it's moving, when it looks like it's going backwards, it's, in our view, going back over the area that it's been in before. So it's in this place of review. And so it has this energetic of a pre-shadow, because it's going over the area that it's going to go back and review in the coming months, and then it'll cross over these points again as it moves direct again. So it will be transiting over points in Gemini 3 times over the course of this next several months. And so this area of where we engage and where we feel like we're able to engage, because it's our own Mars force, is in this space of review. And in a lot of ways, wherever Gemini is in your own natal chart, it's going to be speaking to where you feel called to develop in your life, and where there's this space of like incubation almost, right? It's like, if a child is born premature, you can't just take them out into the world immediately. Like, they need a little bit more protection and a little bit more time before they're safe to go out into that world. And so we're in this period right now of incubation, right? And I say that because Jupiter is in Aries, and Aries is the sign that is associated with our sense of self. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion. And right now it's moving retrograde, so it's giving us this space and time where we get to review where we feel it's most important for us to expand in our lives, and how we can also expand in a way to offer something into the world, because we have this, stretching that's going along in this like continuum along this axis between Aries and Libra. So it's pretty interesting, I think, that the Tarot is bringing this up today, because, you know, there may be a lot of frustration that we're running into by way of these hassles. And it's important that we recognize that there is this variable of time that we also get to work with. And that even though we want something to happen, it doesn't always happen instantly, but it will happen if you continue to give energy to it over the coming months. And it will likely really start to grow and bear more fruit as Mars comes out of retrograde in the beginning of 2023. So I just wanted to come in today and give you guys all a little, I guess, taste of some Astro Tarot. I just finished a weekend up at the Mountain Harvest Festival and sold my body care products and some of my orbs, and it was a really interesting experience, because one of the remedies that I offer is called the Golden Heart Elixir. And I started making this remedy after the pandemic happened, because a lot of people were carrying a lot of grief in their heart. And it's made to be a tender heart formula. And it's created with hawthorn berry infused honey and tinctures of ginger and tincture of linden, which is good for transitioning through grief, and ginger to help us stay warm, and the hawthorn berry, which is a tropho restorative of the heart. And that was my most popular remedy that I had available for people, which to me was really touching, because it speaks to our awareness of this compass that we have in us that is ultimately bearing everything that we experience in life. And it just really spoke to me that that was the remedy that was the most popular this weekend. And some of the other favorites, of course, were, you know, my infused vinegars. I have a hardy hibiscus infused vinegar and a ginger peach infused vinegar, and then some of my sandalwood massage oil and perfumes and lotions, and of course my oxymel and my orbs. But the Golden Heart Elixir was the favorite, it seemed, which was just a sweet thing for me to see in the community that I'm in. So if you have any need for a reading or any of my remedies, feel free to reach out or follow some of my links below. I hope you are well during these times, and I hope you just give yourself some grace as we all move through it. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.